Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off, and look at the way we're looking because we're doing a COVID-19 update here in Laredo, and yesterday they passed some new mandates and we all have to be with masks. And we are a media, and I'm right here with Judge Chuy Garza, which also has his own media place, which is 24/7. Judge, how are we doing today?
Just fine. How are you doing?
Good. Everything's fine.
I want to let them know how far are we. We're at least 6 feet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Listen, this room right here, it's 12 by 14, so you guys can do the math. We're wearing masks here because we're under ordinance, and there's so much quizzling going on right now that, we have to stop that. We're going into a scare tactic. We look like Nazi Germany now. But Judge, let's touch base on the changes to the mandates that are going on with the city. What occurred?
Well, what started like a very simple curfew, which it seems to be a couple of weeks ago, has turned out to be a full-fledged different type of an amendment that came out of the declaration. They approved an amendment back 2 days ago, 2 days ago, to run all the way through April 30th, wherein there is a daily curfew from 10 p.m. to, I believe it's 5 a.m. Only essential employees can go to work, to any job somewhere. You can only, if you're a citizen, just go anywhere to gas up your car, to take your medications, to get your medications, go to the grocery shopping, and pretty much those essential matters that you do to do. And so now things are a lot more stricter than it was before.
Right, and what I've seen is the people have taken it there's a lot of different comments, and I understand what they're coming from. They say their freedoms are being taken away from them, which is true. I mean, they have torn the Constitution and Bill of Rights left and right, and it's just a puff of smoke right now with what they did with it together in the nation, regardless that it's a national disaster. But what they've done and what they've done to freedom here in the United States and our liberties is shot. And people might take it the wrong way, but in all actuality, when you look at it, that's what really happened. Okay?
Well, definitely, that's certainly a lot of people can interpret it that way. And you have to look at it in a broader scale, at least in my view. It is my understanding that in order to flatten the curve, We're expected to peak on this coronavirus problem issue sometime around May 2nd to May the 5th, statewide, which means then we're basically going to be quarantined for the next 30 days. I think that if we had done a real national lockdown, then you would be talking about a 14-day period. But we didn't do a national lockdown. Everyone's being locked down in different times. So this period could have been avoided even to some degree. But having said that, the point is that in Laredo and San Antonio and other areas, it has gone up and down certain areas. At the end of the day, Texas will be at its peak on the first week of May.
You know, and I'll talk about lockdowns and so on and so forth, because there's a lot of blaming. And they're blaming leaders, and we're blaming not only in our municipality, but statewide and national, right? They're blaming the president. And it's been to the point that it's been politicized. Yes, we have a virus, it exists, but the politicized, militarized usage of this towards the president and what he's doing, it's detrimental. I mean, he talked about this back in January. He had already locked down, we couldn't fly to China and vice versa back then, and it was taken like if he was being a racist and a bigot and so on and so forth. New York was saying that you could not worry about it because it was nothing to be. I mean, these are things that actually occurred, that it was no big thing for you guys to use the subways. And all of a sudden now, wait a minute, it's the president's fault. He didn't do it. Wait a minute, you all hacked this. At the time that he was telling the Congress and the Senate, we have a problem, the Congress was trying to impeach him. Understand what I'm saying? So we cannot blame the president. He's doing an excellent job. In my viewpoint, the task force that he has, I mean, go ahead.
Well, I guess that, we'll find out in a couple of months when they do a commission and decide where everything was. I'm more concerned with what's going on today than I am concerned with what led up to this point. The point of the matter is that Laredo has one of its most restrictive ordinances, where really basically you have to wear a mask all the time, for the most part. You cannot be together no more than 10 people at a time. And rightly so, when there's this situation, there's a pandemic, you're going to lose your individual rights. Again, we can discuss, there's enough information for conspiracy theorists to say this is really a plan to try to take over our country, another group of some type. Yeah, I'm sure there's some of that. But by the same time, I'm only looking at what's going on in Laredo. And based on what I'm looking at, we've had at least 65 people tested positive for the coronavirus. They've only tested 350 people. Based on those numbers, we have 260,000 people in the county. That's just maybe a small amount of what's about to happen.
You're correct. And we're coming back into Laredo. Laredo's put some strict modifications and ordinances into it, and they're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to better off or what have you. They're doing their best that they're doing.
Well,
I'm gonna say this just before that. The fire chief, you're doing an excellent job. City manager is doing an excellent job. We would have had somebody else. I don't think we'll be doing what we're doing, because I think they're leading the charge. And then there's other councilmen that are coming in behind them, understanding what's going on, because ultimately it's them that have to vote this in. But they have to also understand that the small businesses here have been shut.
Well, see, if you look at, again, people can take this in whichever way they want. That is what's going on. But I can tell you from what I'm seeing, obviously, the facts are that we have a serious problem in Laredo. They've got to take whatever steps necessary, including for all of us to stay home, basically. Mm-hmm. And for us to follow through with some of the conditions. The only thing is that the city sometimes, or at least the county, is not being sympathetic to certain areas of people who are being affected, such as our senior citizens, for example. Not everyone can afford a mask. Not everyone can afford a mask. Mm-hmm. I'm still hopeful that the city somewhere along the way will say, you know what, we're going to produce so many masks and pass them out to our less fortunate people, because they do need masks. They still need to go to get their medication and to get their food. I'm glad HEB has done a great job. That's one of the few commercial companies out there that's doing a fantastic job in dealing with this issue by delivering food and doing curbside service and providing very good service in their businesses. But at the end of the day, it would have been great if the city helped some of the senior citizens. And two, this ordinance is really wipe out a lot of our small businesses.
You know, yeah, absolutely. You know, I looked at some of the cities in the valley, what they were doing, McAllen, Harlingen, and so on and so forth. You know, that's why the valley has eaten Laredo's lunch long ago. We're in a race with them, and they've lapped us several times already. They're going to lap us a couple of more after this whole thing comes out, because they're going to come out a little bit more ahead of us. Okay, that's just the way it is. And what they did was they mandated a type of task force that went to businesses and said, how much have you lost? How many employees do you have? This is ABC business here. This is YXZ over here. This is, you know, LMNOP business over here. They lost so much.
Every
They put
county
it
and
together.
every county and city has dealt with this problem slightly differently. Down in the valley, there's a town, I believe it's Edinburgh.
Sure.
Excuse me, McAllen or Edinburgh, I'm not sure which of the two, who created this this exemption for businesses, that if you have a business that you believe does not affect or that you will mitigate by providing your towelettes, providing your pre-rail, you provide everything, and that you have so much space in between the people, that those businesses can be allowed to come in. And the way they did it over there is you make an application to the city, and then city inspectors will go check all that and say, if you do qualify with it, you'll be allowed, you'll be able to put a sign in front of your business, and you'll be put on the city website. So
Sure.
it seems to that's a different way of dealing with it.
Sure.
And over here there was just a blanket.
Here was you were kicked to the curb and good luck.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. So on the part from the city taking care of the businesses, they kicked the businesses to the curb and said good luck. On the people and everything else, they've done a great job in the health, because that's what you have.
I think that honestly, overall the city, and I know I'll probably take some heat for that, but for the most part the city's done a very good job in dealing with this issue. They've taken the leadership. I'm disappointed with the county, because the county could have done a lot more, but they're like, they're coming in Johnny come lately at the end. I've seen nothing from their part to indicate that they're doing anything, any outreach in the communities to deal with these issues. But having said that, though, again, the city is taking the leadership. However, there are a few glaring spots that need to be dealt with. One, of course, is a small business. Of course, is our senior citizens that we didn't think about. You know what? It would have, it would have been a good idea to try to raise a couple of $1,000s and hire one of the costaleras, or a whole bunch of ladies or gentlemen, or a sewing company or someone to do masks and actually provide masks for our seniors. But again, at the end of the day, I can say whatever I want to say, but the point of the matter is that if we all stay home, this thing could be ended as quick as possible. But while we have essential workers still out there on the streets and having to go to the local stores, this coronavirus will continue for a longer period.
I'm going to interject on that, because it was a good topic. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's been done.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff that's been accomplished. I think the citizens in the whole understand that this pandemic is here and it's moving forward. And believe me, you know, because you'll have people out there listening, and they'll take one little word and listen to the whole thing that we're talking about. We're here for safety and for health and for livelihoods of everybody. Unfortunately, the numbers that are coming out are pretty severe. I mean, the national numbers throughout the world, I mean, it looks pretty bad. What you're looking at now is how we're going to save ourselves afterward. Okay, because number one, we're going to go so far in the hole, not being able to feed your family and stuff like that. That's coming of age. That's going to come.
But I think you will. By the way, the school district's done a great job in that regard, continuing to provide food for the young kids. Obviously, that matters. And they're doing their best, considering Governor Abbott's ruling and trying to provide distance learning to the kids. But the reality of the matter is that people, and I haven't heard, and I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a doctor, however, I do read a lot, and anyone can read it anywhere on the internet, on the Laredo Times, KGNS, it doesn't matter. But the point of the matter is that we're gonna go through this quarantine together, at least through the first week of May. So we're talking about 4 or 5 weeks. That means a lot of our seniors and people who are of poverty rate are gonna have issues. They really are gonna have issues, and somehow we still have to take that group and try to help them as much as we can. But having said that, of course, the business people need to get some help as well, because I'm curious to know what the impact has been or will be the next 6 to 8 weeks.
You know, I was listening to Ben Shapiro, which is an excellent talk show host, and he's right on point. He does his research very well. And he said, we're seeing the most unemployment nationally.
6.6 million people.
6.6 million people. And that's going to double. And it's going to quadruple. So we're going to have a whole slew of individuals without work. That's terrifying. You have a lot of mayors, you have a lot of judges that are releasing prisoners because they don't want the COVID virus to get inside the prisons. Okay? Everywhere else. You had some in Houston. Our Governor Abbott just stopped that today. You cannot release any prisoners, I'm sorry.
There was a federal judge that made a ruling, I believe yesterday, to allow the release of the petty crimes, simple crimes, the simpler ones, the thefts and things that are not violent in nature, which I think most people would support it. But the world must go on. We still need to keep our prisons. We need to have our military. We need to have our police department. We need to have, and everybody plays a role in all this. But in certain areas, we need to also understand that we're going through this happens once every 100 years. So we all need to, find ways to make it work.
And another thing that I like to say here is it's very simple, and it's pay attention, do your research. You know, there's satire out there. Read that too, it's funny. And read the whole slew of everything that's going on, because we need some humor in our lives as well.
That's right.
And people might look at a web page and Facebook especially, oh, that's satire, don't look at it. Read it, 'cause it's funny, okay? Sometimes you read some of these, it's just like reading fiction, okay? You know it's fake. So people need to understand that. I think the quizzling needs to stop, because that's going to get people into trouble. And because it's already happening in other cities, like in Houston, it came of age. Somebody was in yoga, they were doing something in a yoga class, they were doing online, and the police came and arrested the lady or something to that effect. Let's stop all that. Let's stop all that, you know? You're supposed to be at home, not supposed to be at the...
Well, you're right, and we should be at home, definitely. That should be the number one goal. We should have a lockdown.
And
But having said that, this is America. This is a capitalist system. Its economic system is capitalism. And if we don't work, we don't produce. If we don't produce, we don't pay bills, and we don't profit, and so on and so on and so on. So we also need to understand that there's got to be a balancing act somewhere. I'm not an expert on it. I'm telling you, somewhere along the line, there's got to be that. But the reality of the matter is that but we can't move forward if we can't stop this coronavirus. And if our doctors say we got to go home and stay home, we should stay home and stay home. And if we're going to take a hit or a hiccup, the economy, we have to. I'm glad though that the president and the Congress have decided to do this type of plan. Hopefully it works. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, this is a capitalistic system, and it's got to open up at one point. But I'm not the doctor. I can't tell you when. All I do know is that this is going to continue to the end of April, at least for Texas. And so we got to be mindful of that and somehow strike a balance.
Absolutely. As all that's going on, life must also go on. And there's a couple of things. There's a Texas Supreme Court also said, we're talking about custody, because a lot of people will say, what's going to happen with my child? You know, the weekends, he's going to stay with me. Listen, the Texas Supreme Court already said, whatever your decree says, you have to follow with the visitation rights. Okay, so You can't say, oh, but it's COVID, I'm not gonna let them go. No, because then you're gonna be interfering with child visitation, and that can land you in jail. So follow your decree, whatever your decree says, that's what the Texas Supreme Court said goes. On another note, you guys stay safe, continue with the questions, send them in. I'm enjoying some of them. The city's doing a great job. Robert Eads, Chief, keep it up. And remember, if you do not like how your city council is doing, in November when they're running, you can help vote them out. Some of the non-essential city council persons that are in there, like Nelly Vima, she should just resign. You haven't done anything small business. On the other note, Laredo, peace.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.